Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Nufc Global Podcast. Today, we're here with former Newcastle player Dan Gosling. How are you, mate?
All good, thank you.
Good to have you with us. First question, I've got one for you. Starting off with the your debut was in 2011, I believe, against in this Timeware derby. What was it like stepping on the pitch at the Stadium of Light in such a heat of rivalry? Is there any standout memories from that occasion?
Was that my debut? Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
really? I didn't even know that. I mean, how many appearances did I make? I should know that. Weren't too many. Um, yeah, but that did we lose 2-0?
I believe
Don't bring that
so.
up. Don't bring it up like that.
I know.
Don't
It
times
was
back then.
it was during that rough period against Sunderland where we didn't have much
Yeah,
luck against them for quite a while, was it?
yeah. I do remember vaguely coming on. I remember. I don't know if it was this game or a different game. There, I should have actually scored in one of them derbies. I think it might have been when Ryan Taylor scored from the free kick.
Yeah. It
Might
was
have been to make it.
2011. Newcastle won 1-0 thanks to a Ryan Taylor free kick.
It might have been, yeah, it might have been that game to make it 2-0. I think Scholar's knocked it down for me, and I've gone through one-on-one with Simon Mignolet, and he's actually saved it. And I think that moment really resonates with me in my Newcastle career, because I think if that goes in, my whole career there completely changes,
Yeah.
and it's just marginal, like small moments, and that I really think about that moment a lot, actually. Scoring in the Merseyside derby, scoring in the sort of tiny weird derby, it would have been magical. It would have been great. But yeah, it wasn't to be. And then I'm sure we'll get into it, but didn't obviously work out how I planned.
Well, we'll start it off as you brought up yourself. You didn't make that many appearances. How hard is it for a player to come to the new club, have your knee injury that requires surgery? Like, how frustrating is that for you, and how does it affect you, the mental side of things as well? And does the club go into like the rehab side of things? Does it also take care of that side of things?
Uh, well, when I joined Newcastle, I was actually 9 weeks post-op, so I already had the operation.
Right.
Already 9 weeks into my sort of rehabilitation journey, so to speak. But obviously, that was all done at Everton. So by the time I was at Newcastle, I was doing a lot of stuff in the gym. I was sort of on a crash mat doing little volleys and little hops and just very very small stuff. But at that 9 weeks post op, it felt like a lot. I've come a long way. And when I actually signed for Newcastle, um, I turned up in Ireland. There was on pre-season tour, and I flew to Ireland, met the team. I knew one or two anyway. I met the team, having lunch, and I was sat on a table with Nobby, Joey Barton, Steve Harper, Andy Carroll, Alan Smith, and I'm thinking, cool, some big hitters here. And I mean, I've just come from a big club, so I wasn't nothing that I haven't seen before already.
Yeah.
But I've sort of turned up, kind of with a bit of a limp. Really, I remember. Knee was slightly swollen after the plane, and they're all having lunch. After about an hour, I'm thinking, no one's come to see me yet. No physio, and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm calling my agent. I'm thinking, no, I'm not sure this is the right club. I haven't actually signed the contract at this moment in time. Not sure. He's like, no, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, physio comes, finds me, and we get chatting. And then it's like, oh, all good, it's fine. And then he assesses me on the bed straight away, and he sort of starts feeling my knee a little bit, and it's a little bit puffy, a little bit swollen. And I think it's from the flight and stuff. And basically, after the initial conversation, it was like, right, we're going to shut you down for a month, pretty much. And I'm like, hold on a minute, I've been doing volleys, I've been doing sort of little hops, I'm flying, I'm good, I'm in a good space. Then I almost went there, and it was like, right, you're not doing anything, your knee's swollen, can't do anything. So I went in the pool while I was over there. Anyway, we got back to Newcastle, obviously signed the contract. But then the whole rehab side was completely different to what I've been doing. So different treatment techniques, different rehab techniques. I didn't have if I remember, a person next to me in the gym 24/7, whereas I had that at Everton.
Yeah, right.
It was a little bit strange, and I couldn't really get to grips with it. Really, I wasn't on my own the whole time, but at the start it was a bit like, what, we're not doing a lot, and I found it really really difficult to sort of to get going really. But I knew, to be fair, let's just jump on a little minute. I knew the first year of the contract was done, and so did the club, because obviously my situation. So you sign a 4-year deal. The first year is getting back fit. That's how I took it, and that's how the club took it, and they were fine with it. We was all fine with it. And then obviously it was the next 3 years that we was looking at really.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a bit strange to take the risk and then not really put any time or effort into it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, the time and effort. I mean, there was a plan. There had to be a plan, and I remember getting sheets of paper with my sort of daily schedule on, and it was almost, you get treatment, get your sheet of paper, go in the gym, and like you go through it yourself. Obviously, the more complex stuff, I'll probably have a physio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't. It was a complete change from where I was to go what I was starting to do there. But listen, the physios there, I still speak to one or two, and we had a really good relationship. It was just obviously how they worked at the time.
So obviously, you had the operation. I'm assuming you would have had other offers on the table. So was it Newcastle's long-term goals for yourself and the club that lured you in, or was it something else to make you take the offer from us?
I had I had 5 or 6. So I met with West Ham.
Yeah, right.
I went to David Gold's house in London. I met with them. I met with Owen Coyle at Bolton, Tony Pulis at Stoke. Who else was there? There was one or two others. Sunderland. Steve Bruce was Sunderland.
Cool.
That was literally last second as I was signing the deal for Newcastle. I got a call from Brucey, and he was in Portugal, and he said he was going to fly over. We'll get the deal done, and to be honest, they pushed the boat out even more than Newcastle,
Wow.
and it was almost like, I've given my word to Newcastle, I can't do it, and listen, you never regret anything. I could never sit here and say, "Oh, I should have went there," because you don't know how it would have went. But I was happy with Newcastle. My agent lives in Darlington.
Oh, yeah.
He knows Newcastle from years ago, so I know the size. I knew the size of the club. I spoke with Chris Hughton. I met Chris Hughton and Colin Calderwood a couple of weeks before I drove up there. One night in the week, met at the stadium, had a good chat with them, and the vision was good. I was really impressed. Obviously, when you turn up at that stadium, it's just
Incredible.
ridiculous anyway. And I think they just did they just get promoted? Possibly, I can't really remember.
No,
Yeah,
you
was manager.
joined just after we just got promoted,
Yeah.
Oh, you
and
won the championship, yeah.
yeah, just got promoted, and that season that you joined, we were looking to establish ourselves back in the Premier League.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's
And
another
then
question in itself. What was the squad harmony like? What was the squad like coming back into the Premier League?
it was good. I think it was good. I think obviously Kevin Nolan was the captain, I believe. But you had some really big characters. Obviously Joey, Steve Harper, Alan Smith, Andy Carroll, Shola was there. I think Colaccini, Jonas was there, and then yeah, if you look back at just those 6, 7 alone, I mean, there's some big characters in that little group. No, I mean, no wonder you got up through the championship the first time asking. Listen, the squad was there, but those players knew what it took on a Tuesday night. So the championship was relatively easy. I remember it. And obviously Premier League, the club was looking to establish themselves. And to be honest, that first season, Chrissy got sacked, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
So he obviously it's like him and Colin signed me along with the club, Mike Ashley, Lee Charnley. But after 6 months, I'm not even fit yet, and he's out the door.
Yeah.
And it's like that's when obviously Pards come in, and then it all went pear shaped.
I was, because I'll never forget when Chris got sacked. It's obviously a lot of the fan base were unhappy because
Yeah, I don't know where you were in the league.
I think if I remember correctly,
Weren't too bad now, mid-table.
yeah,
No,
I think
not at all.
I have a feeling it might have been 10th or 9th if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. If not, it was somewhere.
We weren't
around
doing
there.
poorly in our
No,
first season back in the Premier
definitely
League.
won't because well, it started off well, and I think what beat Villa 6-0 or 6-1 it was as well, and what some decent results. So it was a big. I guess it was another one of those Mike Ashley decisions that definitely didn't help his
Yeah.
case at all.
Definitely.
But I was going to touch on Pardew because obviously we're watching from afar, but he come across as an extremely passionate manager. Um, from what we're able to see, like on TV and stuff, like with just the simple things of, you know, it might not seem passionate to some people, but I'll never forget when he stuck the nut on the whole City player.
David Myler.
Yeah, it's just things like that. You think, oh, he's got some fight in him. He's got some passion in him. But what was his like? Could you see the difference in his management skills to Houghton's skills? Like, well, was there much difference between the two of them?
I think at that time Chris was probably a little bit less experienced.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
At that point, I think Chris was the really nice guy.
yeah,
From what I heard previously, from when I met him, didn't see him at the training ground because I never trained with him. But yeah, Chris come across as that, yeah, really nice guy, sort of happy, but he knew where he was. He
yeah,
wasn't like the manager. I don't ever feel Chris would have sent someone in or would have had a popper, a Joey or a Nobby or Andy Carroll, or he was almost there steering the ship and letting those players dictate everything.
right, wow,
Which listen, in a dressing room like that, obviously through the championship, I don't think you need to manage them that much. They can do it themselves. They can police it themselves. And I think that's what happened. And then Chris gets labelled as this sort of Mr. Nice Guy, which he is.
yeah,
I think as he probably got a little bit older, a little bit more experience in that job, he probably then changed a little bit and become a bit more assertive. But his style worked
yeah,
clearly because you got promotion, and his style made the place happy. The spirit was good. Pards come in and I can't remember exactly when he come in and did anything change. And he brought John Carver in with him, I'm sure. Steve Stone come in with him. But Pards was quite sure of himself.
yeah. Wow.
I wouldn't say he's the best tactician, the best coach on the training ground. But he was always out there and he's very assured of what he was trying to do. And then ultimately, I think the club had good players as well. I think it really kicked off the next year with him. And the club signed, I call it the French Revolution, because
That's
it
what it's
was,
labelled as.
yeah, it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe what was going on really from what I joined to then sort of 6, 7 French guys. Really, there was probably more French than English
Yeah.
at that point.
I feel like a lot of that was spearheaded by Graham Carr at the time. He done some phenomenal.
Was it Graham Carr, the head of recruitment there?
Yeah, head of
so
recruitment.
he must have had obviously the French market. But if you look at those, Gabi Obertan, Sylvain Marvo, Johan Gouffran, Kabai, Musa, Debussy,
Yep.
Loic Remy,
Yep.
Ben Arthur was there then.
Ben
Wow.
Arthur, yeah.
Hatem.
There's a
mean,
couple
that's
more.
eight.
There's a couple
There's
more.
definitely a couple more.
There's a striker that we signed from Monaco. Can't remember.
Riviere, that was a bit later
Riviere,
on.
that
I
was a bit
think.
later on, but another French.
But yeah, that was all those guys come in sort of very similar time.
Yep.
And I was thinking, what's going on? And then by that time, to be honest, I was just getting back fit for that season. Played preseason games, but you know when new signings come in, they're gonna get prioritized.
Yep.
And although I was a new signing, I wasn't Pardew signing, so I was just sort of there. I was 20 probably now at this point. So even then, you still got to work double hard to try and get a look in over a Kabai or Musa or Gouffran or whoever it might be.
Yeah.
I can imagine that being quite hard as well, though. Coming back from
Yeah,
injury,
it was really difficult.
not being 100%, and then
yeah, it was
play
really
like that.
difficult because I remember coming back and playing preseason games, and the games that I played done really well, and I was like, well, I'm in with a sniff, first game of the season, and that's when you really know, like that first sort of team sheet is whether you fancied really. All the games in preseason done really well, felt like I had a chance, and then first game of the season was like done, and then I don't know whether I was on the bench or whatever, but just didn't feel part of it from the get go.
Well, I mean, as that season went on and the partnership in that 2011 season, where Tiote and Kabai sort of ruled that midfield, it would have been very hard to break into as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So obviously, once they got the nods first couple of games, and then you start finding the rhythm. The team played very well, and it was impossible to get in. And look, when you look back at that season, and people will go, "Oh, you never got in ahead of Kabai anyway." Okay, maybe not towards the end, no, in the middle of the part of the season because obviously how well, but no one knew who Kabai was.
Yeah.
No one knew who Czech was. They weren't pulling up trees in pre-season. Do you know what I mean? It was a very even field, but it was just so be it that they had nods the first game, and then obviously that season was one of the greatest in Newcastle's recent history, I believe.
Yeah, it would.
Fifth,
No one
yeah.
expected the fifth place, that's for sure. And won at Old Trafford away, and some big victories that season, and not what anyone expected. But that was, I'll never forget. That was my worry. It was all right. We've brought these French players in. We've had one sniff of Europe. I'll never forget. I said to my dad, if we don't get Europe the season after, I have a feeling all these the French players that's come in the agents will be knocking on other people's doors, wanting gone, wanting the money, and obviously, yeah, in time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all those, Musa was a success, Debussy was a success, Kabai, Czech, I know Czech was obviously a great player, Ivory Coast, I know. Gabby Obertan, no, not for me. Marvo, no. Gouffran, no. So yeah, it's three or four out of sort of the A. Look, Remy, yes, probably I would have
Never
to
got
say.
his chance, really, did he?
No, glimpses more than anything. But yeah, the rest probably not. But I guess that you're never going to get. I mean, if you get 8 out of 8, right? It's all a little bit of luck. Recruitment.
After, like, you're halfway through the season, you'll obviously have that. You're struggling to get into the first team. I can understand that must be pretty frustrating. Did you look for a loan move in the January, or was your plan just to keep on trying to fight? And I guess as a player, right, if you're sitting on the bench, you know your possible biggest opportunity is going to come as an injury. When that doesn't happen, like what are you thinking when you're sitting on the bench week in week out, and obviously you want to be on that pitch playing?
Yeah, I don't think that season we was talking about loan. I think I was on the bench quite a lot, but not really coming on, to be honest. Sort of more just a number. I think Pards had like his probably 13 or 14 players that he really trusted. The rest not so much. But it was really hard watching, and obviously the team was winning most weeks, so you definitely know you're not going to play. But the thing that I found, one of the things I found hard, is I learned this as I went on and different clubs, was the sessions with the lads that aren't playing. They were sort of just bobbed off sessions. So
All right.
Pards wouldn't even come out sometimes. Sometimes he wouldn't even be there, he'd stay in London. And he'd travel up on the Monday or whatever, or the Tuesday when the team's back. Those sort of bits is what I found the most frustrating.
That is really strange.
When you're out doing a session, but it's a session. I'm coaching now, so I know, and it was a session just for a session's sake, like possession game, and then off you go, because no one wanted to be there, right?
Yeah.
Coaches didn't want to be there, especially without the manager. Like, they wouldn't have wanted to put on a session. The players probably wouldn't have wanted to be there. Obviously, still annoyed from the day before about not playing and whatever else. But what I learned is, funny enough, working with Eddie, is he would be out there, and the session would be a proper session.
Yeah,
It's more
right.
of
So
a
you get
coaching
something
or
out of
manager,
it.
isn't it?
So you learn. You're getting coached every day. You're learning. And I felt at that point in my career, I was 20, still got loads to learn. Do you know what I mean? So much room to develop. Or missed a year already. I actually felt like when Pardew come in, I missed 4 years of development, really. And that's what kind of I I think about the Newcastle career, and I think more of that. Not rather than, I wish I could have played more. It's, I missed 4 years of learning.
That's kind of shocking to hear. Like, you would never ever in a million years would have thought that would have happened. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, I was unprofessional throughout, and I turned up every day, trained my best I could every day. Never really, like, you get some players that sat training off, you know. It was never in my nature to do that, and it just was like, no, it will change. And there was probably one moment where I think I played against Scunthorpe in a cup, and I think it was my first game for a while. I think we lost 1-0, possibly 2-0, or we might have won. I can't remember. But I had the biggest stinker ever. Like, literally, I couldn't pass like 10 yards. And I just put it down to, like, there was so much pressure on the game for me that I felt like I had to. That was my one game in however long. I need to play well. I need to impress him. And it just all went the complete opposite way. And after that, I was done. My Newcastle career was finished. Not if I had 3 years left, 4 years left. There's no way that I could reverse that game and his own mind, really. And I knew that, and it was really difficult. That was a difficult period.
wow.
Would you have changed anything? I know obviously you would have wanted to play more, and obviously if some players didn't sign, stuff like that. Would you have changed anything?
You
Wanted
know
to go a
what?
different way?
Probably not. I mean, possibly go on loan in the third year of the contract if I weren't playing. Probably maybe kicked up more of a fuss to get out on loan. I think a couple of loans got blocked. But then it wasn't until the fourth year where I went on loan to Blackpool.
Blackpool, yeah.
I went on loan to Blackpool, and then, but at the start of that season, I think I was going to leave. I went to Crystal Palace. Don't know whether anyone ever knows that, but I went to Crystal Palace, and I'm trying to think now. Do you know what? It might have been before Pardew come, because Pardew come from Palace, right?
Yes, I believe he did. I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Pardew come from Palace. Or no, he left Newcastle to go to Palace.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
nah, he would have come
That's
from
right.
probably
Yeah.
West Ham.
Yeah,
Would have been
yeah,
his
yeah,
club
yeah,
before
yeah.
that.
That's
before
it.
us, I
So the
believe.
third year, the third year of the contract, I went to Crystal Palace. Ian Holloway was the manager. He gave me my debut at Plymouth. So I'll go down there, do the medical. Everything's fine. Ready to sign the next day. We stay in a hotel. Next morning, we don't get a phone call from Steve Parish. It's like 11 o'clock now. We're thinking, Jesus Christ, what's going on? So we call them. Deals off the table. I was like, what? Yeah, the surgeon said his knee's not right. He's failed a medical.
Wow.
So I was like, that is just bullshit. Really, that's like mental. And then as we on the way back on the train, me and my agent, we're sort of, what's going on here? And Alan Pardew's best mate in football is Steve Parish, who was chairman at Palace.
Wow.
6 months later, Pards gets the Palace job.
He's blocked it and then got the move.
So, yeah. So that is, listen, I don't know if that's 100%, but being in the football world and knowing football now like I do it, that I knew it then. And 100%, there's been a phone call. Oh, no, well, why are you going to sign him? I'm coming down in like, when Holloway gets sacked, I'm there. I don't want him. I'm not playing him now. So they've had me for another 3 years. Do you know what I mean? 3-4 years. So I turned back up at Newcastle, sort of tail between my legs after saying goodbye to everyone, knowing full well Pardew knows what's just happened, and not once I didn't get a single conversation like, "Oh, sorry to see it fall through," or nothing. It was like nothing happened, and then so be it. However
That
many
puts a new
months
light
later,
on things, really.
it just happened that way. But then that's when I went on loan to Blackpool under Paul Ince, which was a great time, really really good time.
Was
For
that
me,
was that
football-wise, 'cause I didn't
time?
play.
Was that time? Around that time, was that sort of when Pardew was getting a bit of heat as well from the fans? Sort of the way the
Yeah,
team was going.
might have been. It might have been. Yeah, yeah, it might have been the third year possibly.
Yeah, because it was
So I
all.
think they've had the Europa League season. Didn't do. I don't know. We lost to the home game against. Was it the Anzi Makalala?
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
it
think
was.
I think it was.
I think it was. I remember the home game. I mean, I wasn't even in the squad. I used to travel around. I went to Russia to play them. I went to Benfica, possibly all over the world. Whoever's in our group, I travelled and sat in the stands every time. And I was thinking, my God, for 3 years, I never really once said anything. Probably too nice, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll just get on with my job, train, be a part of the squad, and then turn up at the game and go, "Oh, you're not on the bench." That's what used to happen every week.
Wow.
Go to every Premier League game, and then Steve Stone come to the back of the bus, and I used to sit on the back of the bus. We had like a big round seat, and there was like 6, 7 of us or whatever. And he was like, "You're on the bench. You're on the bench. You're on the bench. You're not on the bench. You're on the bench." And this was like, it sort of become like a running joke with like one or two of my good pals. And now we still joke about it now. Perchy. Have you had Perchy on here, by the way?
We've got him
No.
supposedly coming on Friday night.
Yeah, he's like one of my good pals from football. Obviously met him there, and he still banters the life out of me for that moment, like those moments on the coach. And now I wish I would just like, you know what, fuck this. Why am I going to keep traveling? And probably but because I was too nice, too good of a professional, I thought I never once said anything. I was like, okay, no problem, and just got on with it. And it's like now I think, nah, proper taking the piss.
Wow, that's
That's
I
not
hear
good,
Tony,
really.
you'll tell you the
that's
same
hard to
thing.
get that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough. It was a tough 4 years. It was tough 3 years because the first year I write off anyway. I was just getting fit, but the next 3 years it was tough. I don't think. I mean, look, the couple games that I played, probably like that Scunthorpe game was a big moment in the Newcastle career. Had an absolute shocker, and then I couldn't get back from that. And then yeah, every preseason I come back and I was fine, really fit, played really well in preseason games. Felt like, right, here we go. And then it gets to the first game, it's like, oh, you're not playing, and straight away it's like, oh, done all that work, and it just that just was that just was it. That just was it.
Do you speak to any other former teammates other than Perch?
Ryan Taylor, good mates with both of them too. Obviously from Newcastle. Who else do I speak to up there? I've come across Danny Simpson time to time. Who else up there? Stephen Taylor's in Dubai. I spoke with Steve Harper a few times, but not no one else really.
I was
No
fortunate
one
enough
else.
to meet Ryan Taylor, and actually I met Alan Pardew. I went to the preseason tour that was in New Zealand. That probably would have just missed you, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Um,
think.
yeah, yeah. And Ryan Taylor, I mean, absolutely amazing the way he handled the fans on that occasion. I mean, I must have spoken with Ryan Taylor about 15, 20 minutes. He was talking to everybody. He was coming back from he was recovering from an injury, but him and
Yeah,
Stephen Taylor were just absolutely class.
yeah. Stephen is a bit of a madman. He'll yeah, he is a bit lively. And Ryan, yeah, just Scouser, he just talks. He'll just talk. Surprised he didn't ask for your number. He usually asks everyone for their numbers.
Oh man.
Did you understand them or not? Well, either of them,
Tails,
both of them.
yeah, he weren't that Scouse. He weren't that
No,
Scouse.
fair.
Have you got any tales about Ben Arthur? Surely there's a few interesting ones about him.
What a player, by the way.
100%.
He was incredible.
It's
Like, I'm talking, you always get that question, oh, who's the best player you play with? And it's straight away him. But when he's the worst trainer I've ever seen because he wouldn't get out of first gear. But then the moment he'll just stand someone up, turn and put it in top corner. You're like, what can you say? Coaches are trying to say, come on, Hatem, come on, lively, bit quicker, Hatem, and he's just like he completely ignores them, just does it his own way.
Well, I mean, I've seen you put comparisons with Ben Arthur before with Messi, obviously, and if you look at someone like Messi, for instance, the way that he plays, the way that he trains, I mean, you know, from what I've seen and heard, not a good trainer. And if you watch the amount he actually moves on the pitch, it's not a great deal. But those
No,
players who have got those, you know, ridiculous dribbling and those mercurial talents, I feel like they do need to be managed a bit differently as well.
oh, they definitely have to be managed a bit differently. And I think with Hatem, he was turning up on a Saturday and doing the business, so you almost go, yeah, no problem.
do what you need.
Like for me in a team, I had one or two other players like that, probably not on that level, but I knew my limitation. I knew what I was. If I had Hatem next to me, I'll do your running, no problem, because you're winning me games. You're gonna make me better by winning the games of football, and I'll do an extra 1K for you, no problem. And I had that mentality. But I used to sit next to Hatem, and obviously this guy had so much money from young age, right? He used to drive in this crappy little small car. Like, I don't even know what it was. It was that bad. Why are you driving that car? I don't care, my friend. I don't care.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And then I used to say, like, why are you here? Because Newcastle wasn't Newcastle now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, big club, weren't fighting for anything in particular. I know we had a good season, but wasn't going to win trophies at that point. Some good players, but he was a different level. And I was like, Adam, why are you here? Why are you not at Real Madrid or Barca or Paris or Milan? He's like, I don't care. I don't need the money. I'm just happy here playing football. And I'm like, but don't you want to play at like top club? He's like, I don't care. I'm like,
That has shocked me.
I couldn't get over that mentality. And I was thinking, if I had your ability, I would not be here.
Yeah.
I would be at Real Madrid, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, 2 years later, I believe he ends up at Paris Saint Germain, and I'm thinking, yes, Hatem, like you have now. This is you. You're there, and he done really well, and then
Potential.
fell out of Unai Emery, and then left. He just can't. He just fell out of managers, and I guess I look at Unai Emery now, and I heard things about his training. It's intense. It's like on it. He's on it, and I
Yeah.
know for a fact Hatem would have went there and would have been walking around training, and Unai Emery wouldn't have had it. Like, no, this is not happening. Just got rid of him. And when you're at a big club like that, you don't need people like him. Newcastle needed him, so Pardew would never send him in because he needed him on a Saturday. Whereas Paris Saint Germain and Unai Emery didn't need him because there was 3, 4 other wingers that are same level. Then you just get him out of the club. But
Kind of like
yeah,
this the season with Bruce. I'm not saying they're on the same kind of level, but obviously, what Maxi,
Yeah.
was kind of a saviour for some time, but obviously, I've never seen him on the training pitch. But the vibe was getting like, obviously,
Yeah, yeah,
he has
yeah,
interviews. He's late. He still wears his jewelry. He does this. He does that.
yeah,
He kind of was under that
yeah,
same scope, and Maxi could have, under the right management, obviously, how come in, and I was like, it's make or break. He's going to fit in, do well, and he's going to be one hell of a player. Otherwise, he's gone. And yeah,
Well, the thing
that's
is,
yeah.
I don't think
He's like an
players.
Eddie Howe winger.
Yeah, yeah.
nah.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think a lot of these players, they need to be managed a certain way. And I mean, currently, I don't think Eddie Howe would. He wants effort.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's what. And do you know what he does, and so does 55,000 in that stadium, by the way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I'll go with Matty Ritchie, unbelievable player, but his work rate off the ball, his intensity is just incredible.
Next
And
level.
as soon as he goes to press someone and like blocks a channel ball, the whole fans are like up. But he does it, and he done it with our Bournemouth team. He was like a big sort of instigator and sort of protagonist that everyone just follows. He would do it, I would do it, my mate would do it, and all of a sudden you've got 10 guys going, rah, rah, rah. And that's how Eddie plays, and that's how we done so well because we started games really fast, and we only had 10,000, and we still made an atmosphere. He's doing it.
Yeah.
He's got 50,000 now behind, and obviously you've probably been to games more than me recently, and I see it on TV. I was at the cup final, but any block, the whole fans is like up, and all of a sudden you've got that stadium, and when it goes the other way, and I go back to the Borussia Dortmund Champions League game at home, where it was flat, just couldn't get going compared to the Paris Saint-Germain one. Tried doing the same things, but just couldn't, and you probably didn't. If you don't have that energy, you can't get the fans in, and that's what Newcastle are doing. As good as they are, midfield three are arguably best three in the league at the moment. Isak, Gordon, but their intensity makes that team go to a new level.
Yeah.
And that's why he signed Harvey Barnes. That's why he signed Gordon. That's why Almiron had an unbelievable season because he was like on the front foot like that. Isak presses. Callum Wilson when he plays and when he's really trusting his body, he's a number 9 that works so hard for the team. But all the closing down, it's just unreal. And
You've got some links.
Fun.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say you've got some links with some like current players as well as like obviously with the club when you played for it, and then players that are playing for Newcastle now. You've got some links there.
Yeah, it was almost like I felt it was like a Bournemouth ×2 because obviously all the staff, and then at that time it was Matt Ritchie, Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, and then obviously all the backroom stuff. So in reality, it's like probably 8-9 people that I knew. Dummett was still squad. So yeah, I when I watch them play, and I still see certain movements and patterns now, I go, I know exactly what you've done in the week to get that because I've done it.
Yeah,
and I think it's like it's amazing. I love it. I love watching Newcastle. I love like the fullbacks overlapping, underlapping. It's just so
it's
so
nice
good
to watch. Like,
really exciting to watch. It gets the whole fans like off their seat, and balls are coming in the box, and there's big 40-yard runs, and there's 40-yard runs back. It's just like really good. And then you have the quality now of sort of Bruno, Tonali, Joel, all those guys that can take the ball anywhere, and the football just looks even better.
Yeah.
Do you obviously you've spoke about your time, and if I was in your shoes, I would that would be a big part of us that kind of looks back, and I would be looking at Newcastle and kind of like want to swipe it out my memory if I was in your shoes as a player. But you've obviously mentioned there when you watch work. Are you watching it because of just being a football fan in general, or because you were there for that 4 years and it was your home for 4 years? You have like that connection with it. Like you see a lot of ex players, whether they've had a good time, a bad time now. They say just the city alone with the fans, how passionate we are, getting stopped and stuff. It's a lot different to other football clubs. So I was just wondering what's
Well, a few things. One, my wife is from Newcastle,
yeah.
so I met her there. So we still go back because her mum's still there.
Oh
So
yeah.
when we can, we'll try and come back. I know a few guys around the city as well from my time, so it's nice to catch up with those people. So that's one reason. Another reason is Eddie Howe. I got
Yeah.
huge respect and admiration for him and his whole team and what they do and how they coach and the work and time they put in with everything. That I just want them to do really well. So I watch it to sort of cheer them on.
Yeah.
My time there, I don't really watch it because I played for a club. I kind of feel like I didn't really play there.
Yeah.
I look back at it with, say, not regrets because I don't think I could have done any more. I look back and sort of think, what if? Because playing how I did at Bournemouth there and having 55,000 cheering you is a big difference to 10,000. And
Yeah.
I wonder if I had a chance, could I have maybe sustained it? But to be fair, I improved a lot with Bournemouth, and it's from Eddie and his coaching staff because, like I said, I missed out 4 years of development, whereas I gained that within the first year of getting coached every day. Because in reality, I went to Bournemouth and I didn't know how to play centre midfield, really. And he taught me everything in there,
Yeah.
how he wanted his midfielders to look. So yeah, it's kind of the what if really. No regrets from my side, but it's almost I wish I played there more. I wish, but I wasn't as good. Maybe I weren't getting the coaching.
Yeah.
What was your favourite thing being under Eddie at Bournemouth? What was your favourite thing about his management style?
Uh, the training. I just loved the training. It was really intense, really detailed. Um, I felt like there was so many times where I've walked off the training ground and spoke with someone, gone, oh, that was a good session, that wasn't it? And not many times, other times really after that Bournemouth period. And a lot of people say the same thing. So everyone that left Bournemouth under Eddie and went everywhere else, you speak to them and go, oh, it's crap training. Training's just not like it was. And you think, yeah, this guy is something else really compared to most. And even the way now, Bruno speaks about him, Joe Linton speaks about him, and these are big players, really good players, and they're going, "Oh, what a coach!" Like, and I know Ben Dawson. Do you know? Is it Ben
Yeah,
Dawson, the
yeah.
coach?
Coach. Yeah.
I met him on a course a few weeks ago, and he was talking about all the managers that he's worked under, obviously assistant coach and interim and all that sort of stuff. And there was a few big names on there, and he said Eddie stands out. His training is just so unique. He couldn't describe it because there's so much going on in a drill. It's so quick, so intense, and there's like loads of bits going on, but it's all flowing, you know. And it's
Yeah.
like it's just a unique thing to be able to watch. And when you're in it, training it, it's a complete minefield. Like he'll get into your psyche, and it's like go there, and you think, oh my god, what rotation have I missed? And you're looking around, and you think, shit, I need to follow someone that's clever and all that. It's just so clever how he does it.
Well, we seen that when Eddie first got the job. There was a video that Sky brought out, and or even Newcastle. He was in the drills and he started running it, and he was saying to people like, "Run this way, you go that way," and like by the looks of it, like you could see the players being like, "We've not had this before," and like
Yeah. I
yeah,
remember
like
it. Yeah,
he's amongst it. Yeah,
yeah. He'll sort of deliver most things, and he'll show you as well, and he'll obviously stop it and tell you as well. And he's not doesn't matter who you are. He feels like any player can get better, which is rightly so as well.
yeah.
And
He's got that
yeah, I
story
just
to
think
tell.
yeah, the training is probably the best part about him, in my opinion. I mean, there's loads of other good stuff. Don't get me wrong, but the training and the coaching is being on the grass with him is unreal.
That's shown at our club. Obviously, Jacob Murphy, are still he's always had the right attitude, but his improvement on the pitch is it's almost mind-boggling with how much he's improved. And you can obviously
This season
only
alone.
put that down to Eddie and he's not the only one. There's
Yeah.
so many. Um, and obviously you put that down to Eddie and the coaching staff, which is it's unbelievable, and it kind of ticked us off. I seen Simon Jordan sit down with Eddie. I think it was last week or the week before,
Yeah, listen to it.
and I thought, wow, maybe Simon Jordan's gonna have a bit of new respect for how much he did admit he has, but then he still come out and said he still doesn't think Eddie's the right man to take Newcastle to the top. And I was just like, how dare
I
you?
think it is.
Like how
Yeah, I've seen it.
we've just won a first trophy in 70 years, which is just incredible. And yeah, I've got a new respect for Eddie Howe, but he's still not the man to take Newcastle to the top. I'm just like, wow, he's got some grudge against Eddie that he just doesn't want to say what it is because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I did see that, and I listened to it, and I was thinking, I'm trying to think of names. He didn't say anyone. He didn't say a name that
No, he
could.
didn't. Yeah, that's
He
right.
didn't say a name that could. And I mean, look, managers are getting sacked left, right, and centre, and I don't think there's anyone. There's not many better than Eddie for that club at
Yeah,
this moment in time. Like the way he's improved season after season. It didn't start that well, by the way. But
yeah,
obviously, he's always going to get given time. Obviously, he lose to Cambridge in the FA Cup, and I was thinking, oh my god, no. And then there was a sticky period where obviously everyone's going, oh, these Saudi owners aren't going to wait around too long. Any
yeah.
few bad results, and there was a sticky period. Might have been this year, or might have been last year. I don't know. It might have been the start of this year. A lot of injuries, and you weren't winning games and
Last
stuff.
season we had
Yeah, we
Was
went
it
through a
last
little bit
season?
of a rough patch.
And then it
oh,
started coming together, and
Yeah.
you got a win at the right time. And but now it's like the club is transformed. I'm almost thinking there's a statue waiting here.
Oh, 100%.
I know it's very early days because it's only 3 years, I think, or four. Is it third or fourth year?
Yeah, it'd be about
fourth, I
fourth,
think.
The,
Fourth,
yeah.
fourth, yeah.
fourth season, possibly. And I mean that is like really early, but
Yeah,
what he's doing and how he's connected that whole city, the whole city's alive, and I think it's
Yeah.
down to him and his staff and what he's delivering to the players. Obviously, the players go out there and win games and bring all the fans and all that, but him himself, even like moving up there and that, it's like
yeah.
he was there for the long haul. He wasn't there for like 2 years. He's there to cement himself, and at this rate, like I don't know what Simon Jordan wants him to do more.
Well, I
To be
feel like
honest.
Simon Jordan has made a career off being controversial, and I feel like the Newcastle fan base is a very easy fan base to get him rolled up.
Well, that definitely got over. Yeah,
Oh
that
my
whole
god.
stadium and all the whole city rolled up.
Yeah,
For sure. But Eddie wouldn't take no notice of that.
Nah,
He
Eddie
won't.
wouldn't.
He's not on no socials. He don't read nothing. Like it's just head down, training, games. This life that you got to move on. You just got to keep working because things just keep coming at you all the time. New game all the time. Review that one. It's just there's no time to be looking at anything else.
will you
Yeah.
so you had the coaching on the Pardew, which sounded disgusting, then you've had the coaching on that Eddie, and you've obviously said you're coaching yourself now. If you ever turned up to a club and you seen the same situation happening as what was happening with Pardew in charge, would you go up to the top and be like, nah, this is disgusting. I want it done this way, this way, this way?
As a coach
As a
going into a
coach,
new
yeah,
club, as
as a
a
so as a coach now, if you go into a club and you see it going on already, would you go up to the top of the club and be like this is disgusting, what's going on? I want it done this way.
yeah, I don't think you'd have to go up and say that. I think your actions will show that on the pitch.
Show it on the pitch. Right.
If you're out on a training ground and delivering stuff, and I would always say if I end up becoming a head coach, that day after a game, I will be on that training ground
Yeah.
taking that session. That's one thing that I would have to do. because I know how, and I had it with other managers. Ranieri, when he'd come in at Watford, honestly, don't get me started about him, but he weren't there on a Sunday, and you're trying to get into the team, but you ain't got a manager to impress. So why are you going to work hard on a Sunday morning when you don't want to be there anyway? You're pissed off with the day before. The manager's not even there, so no one even gives a shit, obviously.
Yeah.
So you end up just going through the motion and you think, I need to get out of here. This is absolutely ludicrous. And I had that throughout. And it is tough. It is tough. But if the manager's out there, it sets a precedent that training is training. And I would try and put on like a proper session. Listen, numbers dictate it sometimes. But like you try and get something out of it. Else you may as well just go home and not go out at all.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like the ones that aren't playing need more love than the ones that are playing. The 11 they're loved. They know they're loved because they're playing. It's the other ones, and over the course of a season, there's always that sort of 2 or 3 players, 4 players possibly that are not really coming on as much. You might get the 1 or 2 subs that are chopping and changing, but there's always a little group that aren't gonna, whether they're young pros or whatever it might be, that they're not gonna start many games, not gonna come on too many games. So you need those guys though, because through the year, if that 3 or 4 started like sacking training off, it just saps energy out of everyone.
Yeah.
You just don't need it. So you have to keep them on side. And those Sunday mornings or Monday morning or whatever it is, the recovery squad training, they have to be good sessions, in my opinion.
And you got to focus on those players who aren't playing as well, because a lot of those people are players who are actually developing, and they actually need that guidance and they need that training.
100%. And if you spend, and it's a great trait of all the coaches up there, and I've said it to a lot of people, that the amount of work that he's done with Murphy, he would do with an 18-year-old
Lewis Smiley.
He would do the same work. Yeah, he's never going to just go, oh no, he's playing, he's my number 9 striker, Isaac, I'm going to do finishing with him. He'll do finishing with Osula, who hasn't kicked the ball yet, but great prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the look of him, like.
Yeah, he'll be a really good player. Just going to take a little bit of time because you've got Isaac. Feel like me and Kabai.
What was Jason Tyndall like? To be around?
He's really good. I think he takes the heat off Eddie a lot. So if he always wears completely different stuff for a kickoff, and it's like everyone's looking at him rather than him.
Yeah.
But that it works. Eddie must like that, being in the background in those ways. So obviously he's obviously the figurehead, and I think Jace. Listen, that's Jace. He's wore that stuff this whole time. He doesn't change. It's not for the cameras. That's what he is like off it as well.
He loves the camera, so.
Yeah, he likes the cameras, but again, he will take all the pressure. And now he's like, well, obviously Mad Dog and all that sort of nonsense stuff. Like the fans love him, right?
100%.
But then you've got 100%. Also there's Graham Jones, who's top coach, had him at Bournemouth for a brief spell, then he left to go to Newcastle. Stephen Purchase, who probably no one knows about. He's a top coach, top fella. And then there's Tinners at Simon Weatherston, who again probably no one knows about. So those two take the warm-ups mostly in match days. And Tinners is a guy who is Mr. Positive from day 1 to day end, 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. Like, he's in the warm-up, he's the one having banter with the guys, and just like, he keeps the whole place buzzing. So he's just got a whole proper team. Incredible, that all contribute in their own ways, and that's why he needed them up there.
Yeah.
So when that first day, when like they're getting out of the big van, pulling up at the training ground at 5 or whatever time it was, it's like 5 of them get out of the car. It's like that's the team.
I think that was a really, really interesting one when Eddie Howe actually signed for Newcastle, seeing him at the training ground so early in the morning. In those early clips of him seeing him at the club, it was a different a different experience, a different sight to what we'd seen for so long.
That's like, right, they're on it. We need to turn up as players. We need to be on it. And he would make that known straight away. I spoke with Matty Ritchie about his first team meeting. I was like, mate, what did he say? And all it was, and there might have been more to it than this, but the first slide and probably the only slide, then he obviously talked about it. Come on, black screen, hard work. And using a relegation zone, I think, when he joined.
Yeah.
He's like, hard work
Yeah.
is the only way
The
we're
worst
getting out of
relegation
it.
zone.
Yeah.
Hard work. And I know from then, training would have gone from like this level of intensity to there. And the players would have been shocked by it. The players would have been like, whoa. But Matty would have told everyone. Callum Wilson would have told everyone. And Weeman would have told everyone, like, oh, get ready. Because this is... And you sometimes you get that manager bounce, you know, like the first week is like, and then it drifts off. Not with them. There's too many of them. Too many of the coaches that were on the same page.
Yeah.
So they'll keep it going. And then if any of the players don't like it, or there's too big of a core group that do it, that those one or two, I look at Ryan Fraser, who's not there anymore. He didn't want to do it in the end. He got annoyed not playing. All right, see you later.
Yeah.
And that's when you go to bigger clubs, you can do that with with players. The group is strong.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like in saying that, just from outside perspective, I feel like you've got Eddie, who's the more serious one from outside perspective, and Jason Tyndall, Graham Jones, they sort of keep the mood light. With sort of what we've seen of them, they've got the banter, they've got the jokes, and Eddie sort of keeps it light and keeps it and also Eddie's man management as well is brilliant from what I've seen.
Yeah, Eddie has an aura about him where he'll have a laugh and a joke at the right time. But when it's training ground, it's serious. I mean, still very, like, he would have a smile on his face at training sometimes. But when you train, you're training. Jace on the training ground is serious, really serious, but probably not as intense as Eddie.
Yeah.
Like everything. And Graham Jones, again, probably really serious on the training ground. And he'd want the work and the drills to be good. If it's not, he has a thing of sort of, all right, everyone come here. Everyone come here. Is this good enough? Are you happy with this? And everyone's like, no, this is crap, blah, blah, blah. Well, come on then, let's fucking go and do it. And then after that, it's like, yeah, you're in. But he's coached some big players as well, some big teams, Bonner.
Well, that was
so he's a great coach, and everyone has respect for him as well.
Been having a chat with Graham, and I actually sent him a video. It was just after Dwight Gale had come out and said he's part on Steve Bruce. And I'd asked Graham what he thought of it anyway, and didn't really say much, but we're talking about respect, and I'd sent him a video, and it was involving himself, Matt Ritchie, and Steve Bruce, and I can't remember who were playing, but you've got Bruce there, Jones there, then Ritchie, Torgan, and Steve Bruce is trying to say his piece, and Ritchie's not even looking at him, he's just looking at Jones, and Jones is just, like, obviously giving the instructions, and Bruce is trying to get a say in, and Ritchie doesn't even look at him, and I think, and that's what I said to Jones, I said, I think that sums up respect, that video in a whole, and it was, I think it kind of showed who was leading the way at Newcastle while Bruce was there.
I think look, Steve has had a great career with many clubs and so many games, but I just, for whatever reason, he just didn't fit.
No, he didn't.
From very early on, really. I don't know whether that's obviously managed Sunderland didn't help.
Definitely.
That doesn't help. So yeah, it was a strange one, but he is a Geordie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He's a Newcastle lad, but it just doesn't help. And then once you get off to a bad start, the football, there was no, it's not like it was now, like it is now.
Definitely.
Very boring, very stale. Didn't really know what they were doing, really. Yeah. It was a bit like Rafa, to be honest. But Rafa got away with it because
I completely agree with that.
I think the one thing that Brucey done which surprised me, I believe Brucey was the first one to play Joe Linton in midfield. And funnily enough, Joe Linton was signed in between the managers before Brucey was actually signed to manage. we didn't have a manager when we signed Joe Linton for £50 million, and then Brucey come in with Joe Linton as a £50 million player as a striker, and Brucey was
Yeah.
the first one to actually play him in that central
He actually
midfield role.
was, and a lot of people forget that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I do know that. Yeah, everyone thinks it's the Norwich game when he went down to 10 men.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's dropped back, and it was before. But I think a lot of people know that, but they wouldn't want to give him the credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I'll never forget as well. Matty Longstaff's another one. Bruce gave him his debut where he scored against Man United, and I see so much online. Steve Bruce ruined Matty Longstaff's career and this and that, and I'm like, actually, Bruce gave him the start. He got injured.
Yeah.
He wanted more money, etc., etc.
There was what I heard with that. There was a great contract on the table, and he didn't take it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well, and it's easy to point the finger at someone when things aren't going good and things like that. It is, and
I think the biggest thing for me with Brucey was there's a statement Brucey made about when the new owners come in, about how he basically told them he was happy to step aside, and he felt that it was for the best of the club that he stood a step aside. So I feel like within the Newcastle fan base, maybe Brucey should command a bit more respect, even just for what he's done throughout his career. He never tried to do anything negative for us. I think, unfortunately, just he'd come in, he didn't fit the club at the time, and he just couldn't get the results that he needed to get.
Yeah, I think a lot of the fans wanted him to walk,
yeah,
but is anyone going to walk away from a multi-million-pound deal? You want to get sacked, right? He wanted to get sacked months before he did.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen for whatever reason.
Financially, it doesn't make sense to walk.
No, and how much money you got? Just say, I don't know the figures, but just say 30, 40, 50 grand a week he was on. Are you going to just walk away from that? Like, rightly or wrongly, no, you're not.
No.
Well, I wouldn't.
You're going to make the club pay out your contract, worst case scenario.
Yeah, so if you walk, you get nothing. If you get sacked, you're going to get compensation deal. So he wanted to get sacked, for sure. But I wouldn't say he down-tooled. I wouldn't say he stopped putting the effort, because he was probably still there at the training ground and stuff and trying to make it work, but just probably didn't have the tools in his armory to make it work.
I do like how you touched on the Rafa Benitez situation. Like I've always had a different opinion on Rafa Benitez to a lot of the fan base. Like he was loved and adored, and don't get us wrong, like it was good to get back up from the championship and stuff in that season where we got relegated, where close to saving more. But his style of playing stuff just was not for me. And when the fans wanted them to stay, I was like, oh man, I want to see something different, something more exciting. Then when Bruce came in, it was kind of the same, in my opinion, not exciting football. And I used to speak out against it, and a lot of fans used to be like, "Nah, you're so wrong. Like Rafa's a god, this and that." And he just wasn't my cup of tea.
Again, I think say any manager, because it's highly disrespectful, but the squad in the championship was the best squad in the championship.
Oh, definitely.
Probably ever.
Anyone.
Really, the amount of money that was.
Anyone. Yeah, it was the same as under Kosciuszko. Not knocking them, but the squad is the best squad.
Yeah.
It's like Leicester last year. Like we're looking at Enzo Maresca, great coach, looks really good. The squad was the best by far. Only this year is slightly different with the three going up. Probably the best squads, and that's why they're up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two teams, Newcastle team, they're going to go up anyway. But yeah, I think obviously Rafa's name and pedigree got him way less slack than.
I agree.
Than Brucey. I spoke with obviously Matty Ritchie, a lot of good mates, and Rafa was pretty much slide and shuffle.
Yeah.
Across, and there was no. Matty was from a team of Eddie, where it's like he just wants to run and use his energy, and it was like can't do that. and he couldn't understand it. Wanted to do extras in training, and Rafa was like, "No, that's 29 minutes. We are done. No one kick a ball. We're done. And Eddie's like, "No, you want to do extras? Yeah, I'll be here. We'll do 20 minutes of extras. Probably a bit too much,
Yeah.
but I would much rather have players wanting to stay out than wanting to get off the pitch."
100%.
But yeah, Rafa was. There's a funny story actually. I probably shouldn't say it, but mate, he was on the team coach traveling away. I don't know where it was with Rafa, and they got offered services and stuff. And I think there was like a few people trying to get back on the coach, and Matty's stuck his finger up someone's arse up the stairs. Thought it was like one of the fitness coach or whatever. And it was Rafa Benitez. And he said, I was like, what the fuck are you? And mate, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's brilliant. When he told me that, it's classic.
That's class.
Oh, man. That's good. What a story. I'm pleased you shared that one. Oh.
It's good. But yeah, no, Rafa didn't. Listen, great coach for certain periods of his career. He managed all the big clubs, for God's sake. Had a great spell there, but probably didn't change and evolve, I would say.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the managers that we had sort of around that time, leading up until basically where we are now, probably didn't have enough time or enough pull in the transfer market in terms of being able to sign the players they wanted to and being able to form the shape in the way they wanted to really play their style. It seemed like we were getting managers who were coming in, who were just getting given a squad, this is what you get, this is what you're given, and it's up to you to make it work. And it seemed like that seemed to be the way for quite some time. And obviously now it seems a bit different.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the remit was staying in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So however you done it, and like you say, the budget wasn't there. Joe Linton was probably, and Miggy Almiron was probably the biggest two, but when they arrived, they wasn't nowhere near what they'd done in the next coming years. There was money spent, but whether it was spent good, I don't believe it was. But yeah, the remit was to stay in the Premier League, and ultimately every man had done that. So it's like when you have an owner, Mike Ashley, and look, I met Mike Ashley a few times, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. But I think he put a hell of a lot of his own money in that club.
But he spent, I think it was when he first took over, we were, I can't
100 odd
remember the
million.
exact figure in debt, but he put a lot of his own money into that.
Yeah, yeah, he did. And when I met him, it was when I signed, I had lunch with him and that. And listen, I felt like he was a cool dude.
Yeah.
I was like, you're all right. Like, you seem good. Like, you chatty. You're just an astute businessman. Very, very clever businessman. And that's what Newcastle was. It wasn't a project. It wasn't I want to win this for the club. I want to have that statue after me. No, it was business. And ultimately, listen, whether he goes down as maybe in years to come, it might be like, oh, that era of, he made us sort of debt free or very little debt. Then we pass on to someone that could maybe step up and deliver.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess only time will tell. From my experience with him, he was all right.
What I did respect, come the end, he did say he would only sell the club to the right people, and it's exactly what he done. So you've got to take your hat off to him for that, for sure.
Biggest bidders.
Aye, that definitely would have helped. That definitely would have helped.
Good businessman.
But I will. Mate, we appreciate your time. Honestly, that was fantastic, lad. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Enjoyed it.
That was brilliant. Maybe he's if you're up for it once we spoke to Perchy on Saturday, if he's ever keen for a duo, that would be fantastic in the future.
Yeah,
Tell
we've
some
got
stories
together.
Yeah.
Got to throw that out there.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, speak to him. I'll speak to him anyway. I was trying to bring him earlier. I think he's staying. He's coming down to my house tomorrow.
All right. Well, if you can have
he's traveling down. Yeah, he's traveling down tomorrow, so I'll speak to him about it.
All right. Brilliant.
And yeah, he'll ask me if to go on and all that. So
Yeah.
I'll tell him no, don't bother. All good.
Thanks so much for
Yeah.
coming on, Dan. We really
man.
No
appreciate it.
problem.
Brilliant.
And,
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Really enjoyed the chat, mate.
No worries. Take care, guys.
Cheers,
Take
mate.
care, Dan.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.